Thank you so much for joining this lesson. You're most welcome to the discussion. I request you to subscribe. I request you to also share so that you may invite a friend. Today we shall be discussing one of the best joint examinations. That is a Mokasa one. So Mokasa is a paper that has been done by a group of serious schools, Moi Girls, Eldoret, Kabarak, and Sacho. So kindly feel free to even invite your friends so that they may also partake in this great discussion. Remember to comment. Remember to share, to invite a friend. Remember our slogan. Whenever the lesson is ongoing and you get something, remember on the comment section to type, I am learning. Once in a while, you can also tell us where you're learning from. Let us know your name. Let us know your school. Let us interact online. Number 1, without using a calculator or a mathematical tables, evaluate half of 2/5 divided by 3/15 plus 7/10 multiplied by 6/7. Then into brackets we have 1/2 multiplied by 1/3 all over 5/3 multiplied by 6/10 divided by 5/4 minus 1/4. So in such a question, just as I've been advising you people, learn to first work out the numerator, work out the denominator, then now you combine the two parts. So let's check what we have on the numerator. It's good for you to know that we are dealing with the board mass. This is the acronym that helps us to order our operations properly. So do we have brackets? Yes. So we work out whatever is in the brackets first. So this now shall be whatever is inside the brackets. You see, it's a 1/2 and 1/3. 1/2 and 1/3. So 1/2 becomes 3/2, then multiplied by 1/3. And you see, this will make it 1/2. Yeah, because the 3's will cancel. So 1/2. So we are having 1/2 or half inside the bracket here. So now we can write our expression as half of 2/5 divided by 3/15. Then this plus 7/10 multiplied by 6/7 multiplied by half, because inside the brackets we've already worked out. Now it's good for you to check the next, which is off, and off is here. Off means multiplication, so it should be worked out first again. So half of means half times 2/5. In this case again, the 2 here shall cancel. It shall have 1/5. So now we are having 1/5 from this off divided by 3/15 plus 7/10 multiplied by 6/7 multiplied by 1/2. At this point now, we can progress to division, whereby we are dividing 1/5. We are dividing 1/5, and 1/5 is being divided by 3/15, meaning that we can have 1/5. Then now we multiply by the reciprocal that way. So we shall have exactly 1, because by 5 we're getting 3, and the 3 will cancel with this one. So we have 1 at this point. So now this can be written as 1 plus 7/10 multiplied by 6/7 multiplied by half. So now we've done the division part. Let's check now the multiplication. And multiplication is there, yes. So this now shall be, remember, everything is being multiplied. Everything is being multiplied. So we can now identify whatever is common, like 7 and 7, that one cancels. Like 2 and here, it becomes a 3. So it's 1 plus Remember this simplified to 1, that one to 1, this simplified to 1, this is a 3. So 3 over 10. And when you add, it shall be 1 and 3 over 10. That is now, yeah, that is now from the numerator. So we can now check the denominator. Let us check the denominator. You see, after working out the numerator, you're supposed to pack the answer so that when you are finished now, when you are done working out the denominator, you then combine. So we pack the answer for the numerator, which is here. I know the numbers are many here. You might mix up. That is now the final answer on the numerator. Let us check what we shall have from the denominator. Let us check what we will have from the denominator. So at the denominator, ladies and gentlemen, back to the board mass again. Let's check. Back to board mass. Do we have brackets? Not really. Do we have off? Not really. Do we have division? Yes. So where is division? At this point. So allow us work out first. 6 over 10 being divided by, so means times the reciprocal that way. So this is by 2, and by 2 we get 5. So we're having 12 over 25. Yeah, so we're having 5 out of 3 multiplied by, now the whole of this part has become 12 over 25. All right, then minus a quarter. That was division. Let's check multiplication. Multiplication is here. Multiplication is there. So that is a 5 over 3 times 12 over 25. By 3, 1. By 3, 4. By 5, 1. By 5, 5. So this is 4 over 5. Is that okay? Yeah, 4 out of 5. So 4 over 5. Now minus a quarter. And remember, we've been told without a calculator, without a maths table. So LCM is 20. 20 divided by 5, we get 4. So 4 times 4, 16. Minus 20 divided by 4, we get 5 times 1. It's just 5. So when we simplify this, it will remain 11 over 20. Yes, 11 over 20. So with 11 over 20 now, we can say now we can now combine now. Because this is now the answer from the denominator. We have the answer from the numerator. So we combine. Remember, this can be made, it's a mixed number, so we can make it an improper fraction, 13 over 10. So we're having 13 over 10 being divided by 11 over 20. So this can now be 13 over 10. Dividing by 11 over 20 may mean multiplying by the reciprocal. Yeah, you multiply by reciprocal. And this shall land us at, you see, 10 can simplify to give us 2. Do we have anything else that can simplify? So this is 26 out of 11. 26 over 11. So with 26 over 11, we can now make it, a mixed number now from an improper fraction. Remember, your final answer cannot be an improper fraction. So we make it now a mixed number, which is 2. We get 2, that is 22. So the remainder is 4 out of 11. So now the final answer on number 1 is 2 and 4 over 11. If you're getting something, please type I am learning. Remember, our official line is 07 04 15 33 66. This is the number that you should use to reach out for consultations, for programs. Remember, in the month of August, which is the last holiday for all the candidates, whether KCSE, you see, whether KCSE, whether KPSE, that is your last holiday. And we are organizing the mother of all online programs that have ever been organized, a NEC platform whereby you shall be interacting with examiners from all the learning areas and subjects for KCSE and KCSE. So in this one for August, don't be left out. We shall be rolling out the timetable. We shall be rolling out very soon. We shall be unveiling the lineup of examiners, and I'm sure you guys shall reap a lot from the platform. So let us get to number 2 together. Simplify the expression. You can see the numerator is 4x squared minus 16y squared all over 6x squared minus 8xy minus 8y squared. When you look at the nature of the expressions, the numerator is a difference of two squares. Let us check the numerator first. Actually, just like the previous question, you're supposed to work out the numerator, you simplify everything. Then from there now, you work out the denominator, then you combine to see whether there is anything common that can simplify out. So in this case, we are having a difference of two squares. But when you observe very keenly again, you remember that you see 4 is common also in 4 and 16. Therefore, when you factor out 4, the expression still remains a difference of two squares. You see? So you factor out 4, and what is in brackets is still a difference of two squares. So with our 4 here, now we factorize whatever is inside the brackets. So we get square root of this part, which is x, minus square root of the second part, which is 2y. Then the same factors, but now with a plus between them. So the difference of two squares has also been factorized. And with that, we'll say that the numerator is fully factorized. So let us check the denominator also. Let us check the denominator. From the terms that are making the denominator, we can see that 2 is common across. So 3x squared minus 4xy minus 4y squared, like that. And this is a quadratic expression. So we need a product of a times c, that is negative 12. So 3 by negative 4. Then sum of the term at b, which is a negative 4. So we now need to get two factors, which when multiplied shall give us negative 12. When added shall give us negative 4. So this is negative 6 and positive 2. The product is negative 12. The sum is negative 4. So now we substitute the b with these factors. Remember, we are having a 2 here. So we shall have 3x squared, then minus 6xy, positive 2xy. See that? We have replaced negative 4 with negative 6 and a positive 2, minus 4y squared, like that. So we can further factorize. Now, from the first two terms in the bracket, actually, we can pack our 2 first. Let me deal with the inside of the brackets now. From the first 2 terms, what can we factor out? 3x. We separate the 2 workings. So 3x can be factored out. Then we remain with x minus 2y. Then positive 2y is common in the last 2. 2y is common, so that we remain with x minus 2 and y remains there, like that. So from inside the bracket, what do we have? X minus 2y. Outside the brackets, we have 3x plus 2y. And remember, we are having, now there is the general 2, which we factored out at the start of the factorization. So now this is the factorized denominator. With this, we can now combine the numerator and the denominator. 4 into x minus 2y into x plus 2y. That is the numerator. out of the denominator, whose factorized form is here, is a 2 into x minus 2y, 3x plus 2y, like that. So now we can check common factors. And if you are careful, you discover that this factor and this one shall cancel out. And also by 2, 1, by 2, 2. So this is 2, then we remain with x plus 2y out of 3x plus 2y. So this is now the simplest format. That is now the simplest format. So that is how we were supposed to work out question number 2. Yeah, question number 2. A very, very good question. So you're supposed to know how to simplify a difference of two squares and how to factorize what we call a quadratic expression. If you're getting something, please type I am learning. Now adjusting to number 3, foreign exchange on 13th February 2026 was given as follows. So you can see the currency there, the foreign currencies, the rates at which they are being bought, the rates at which they are being sold in a Kenyan bank, of course. Now, a tourist came to Kenya from London with 6,000 euros, which he converted to Kenya shillings at a bank. While in Kenya, he spent a total of 300,000 Kenya shillings, then converted the balance into sterling pounds at the same bank. Calculate the amount in sterling pounds he received. So let us look at this conversion. We call it currency conversion rates. So we usually say this, from Kenyan currency. Okay, we can start with the foreign. Foreign to Kenyan, we use the buying column through multiplication. You see, the concept here is, that as a tourist, when you get to the bank and you're having foreign currency, the bank buys the foreign currency from you. Now we have the rate at which the bank is buying the currency. Therefore, somebody is having 6,000 euros and the bank is buying each at 147.95. So at the end of the day, this gentleman will enter Kenya with some money, 147.95 times 6,000. So this guy is entering Kenya with 700. Yeah, 700, like that. So now this is the money that he has entered Kenya with. Now, while in Kenya, the tourist is going to spend. So after spending, there is some balance. This is now what we need to focus on. What is he going to remain with? Because it is the balance to be converted to sterling pounds. So now the balance in Kenya shillings shall be exactly 587,700. So this is the amount in Kenya shillings that the tourist will be having while going to the bank, so that there is an exchange once again. Now, when this guy arrives in the bank, he is now looking for sterling pounds. So the bank shall sell to him, and the bank is having a selling price. So we'll talk about now from Kenyan currency to foreign currency. We use the selling column, and it's through division. So if you are having 587,700 and you need the bank to sell to you sterling pounds, and it's selling a sterling pound at 131.50, then how many sterling pounds will you be able to acquire? So it shall be the amount in Kenya shillings. It's now like going to a shop. You are having 20 shillings and a sweet is 5 shillings. how many sweets will you be able to buy? So we divide the amount that you have with the cost of one sweet so that you may know the number of sweets you can purchase. It's a normal purchase and selling of currencies. So you can treat the currency as just normal items that are being sold. This is 0.5, not 0.7. So you should be very keen at some points. This is going to be exactly 4469.20 sterling pounds. Sterling pounds. So that is how you're supposed to approach question number 3. A very good question. Remember, commercial arithmetic must always be in a serious paper, whether currency exchange rates, whether commissions, whether profits and losses together with discounts, whether commercial arithmetic 2 for paper 2, but at least commercial arithmetic is supposed to feature. So this is a very predictive exam. You're supposed to take advantage. Now at number 4, right? Remember to type I am learning. If you're getting something, please type. Number 4, solve the simultaneous inequalities. 5 minus x out of 2 greater than or equal to x plus 1 out of 3 greater than or equal to 2x plus 4 out of negative 3, and list all the integral values of x. And of course, these are values of x that satisfy the inequalities. So one thing that you're supposed to master and understand is that the middle part here, the terms that are between the two linear inequalities, the linear inequality signposts, that term should be shared by the two simple inequalities that you have to extract. So we extract the first one, ensure that it bears the middle part. So it's 5 minus x greater than or equal to x plus 1 over 3. That is the first one. Then a second one, we ensure again it bears the middle part. So it should bear the middle part, which is x plus 1 out of 3 greater than or equal to 2x plus 4 out of negative 3. So now after splitting the compound inequality into two simple statements, we can now solve each. Now from the first one, we can even do a cross multiplication at this point, whereby 3 multiplies 5 and negative x, and 2 at this point. So when we open brackets, I hope we are together at that point. That is the opening of brackets. The now grouping of terms together. In the grouping of terms together, ladies and gentlemen, allow me avoid division with negatives and also multiplication with negatives by ensuring that 5x is on this side, because this is 2 and the negative 3 becomes positive. Then 2 should be subtracted from 15. So that now we have x after dividing through by 5 being 2.6. Remember, this statement can also be simplified as x being greater than or equal to 2.6. That is the first one. You can reverse the symbol of inequalities by simply changing the sides. Yeah, simply changing the sides. When we say 2 is less than 7, we also mean 7 is greater than 2. So changing the sides can lead to reversal of the inequality symbol. If 2 is less than 7, then it is very true to say that 7 is greater than 2. 2 less than 7, then 7 greater than 2. So applying the same here, if 2.6 is greater than x, then x is less than or equal to 2.6. Let's check now the second one. Across multiplication once again, we shall find ourselves having negative 3, x plus 1 greater than or equal to 3, 2x plus 4, negative 3x minus 3, 6x plus 12. At that point, can we talk of grouping terms together? Greater than or equal to, this becomes 9x. Then this is negative 3, and 12 also will be subtracted. So it becomes negative 15. So how shall we remain with x alone? Simply by dividing negative 15 by 9, you get negative 1.66, okay, 66, no, negative 1.667, like that. So these are the values now. So you see, we can also say that, yeah, this is now what we have. This is exactly what we have. So with this now, we can say that with x at the middle, then we can now say that the least value of x is negative 1.66. The greatest value of x is 2.6. Therefore, our 0 here, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4. These are simple number line. Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. So you're supposed to know that values of x are starting somewhere here, 1.6 inclusive up to 2.6 also inclusive. The integral values in between there. And I want to teach you something here. Even if the inequality symbols are showing inclusiveness of the limits here, remember that the limits are not integral values. Integral values are integers. It's from the word integer. Integral values. Therefore, even though this is inclusive, the boundaries or the limits are inclusive, they shall not be stated. So in between there is a negative 1, there is a 0, there is 1, and there is a 2. So these are the only integral values now which satisfy the inequality that we have. So the there-ness of the inclusive parts in these limits doesn't make them integral values. So when stating integral values, you can't have 2 point something, you can't have negative 1 point anything. It is strictly the integral values in between those limits. I hope you are learning something. So I know in case you have limits like negative 4 and you have these, then 5 and you also have the same, you will start saying that negative 4 and the positive 5 are included. That is true because of how the symbol is. But now please understand that in our case, the stated limits are not integral values. If you're getting something, type I am learning. Then we check number 5 together. 2 customer service agents in a bank work such that the first one takes an average of 5 minutes while the second takes an average of 8 minutes to serve a client. Now the counters are opened at 8 a.m. when the agents begin serving clients. At what time will they complete serving 182 clients? So our concern here should be, at what point will all of them finish serving clients at the same time? So somebody is taking 5 minutes, another one 8 minutes. So the LCM of 5 and 8 will give us the shortest time taken for the 2 agents to finish serving clients. So the time they'll be finishing clients, both of them shall be by 2. This is 5 and this is 4. By 2, 5, 2. By 2, 5, and 1. Then we can have 5 now, so to get 1, 1. So the LCM is 2 times 2 times 2 times 5, which is exactly 8, so 40 minutes. So these guys take 40 minutes. 40 minutes. So that all of them are at a finishing point of serving a client. So they conclude serving clients at the same time after 40 minutes. Now, after the 40 minutes, how many clients will have been served? So the first will have served 40 minutes over the rate, which is 8 clients. 8 clients within 40 minutes. Then the second one, within the 40 minutes and taking 8 minutes, will have served 5 clients within the 40 minutes, meaning that combined will have served 13 clients. So within 40 minutes, the first one will serve 8, the second one will serve 5, meaning that together they will have served 13 clients. Now we have seen that 13 clients, 13 customers are taking 40 minutes. What about 182 clients? How long shall they take 40 by 182 out of 13? Now, let me work out that. 40 by 182 over 13. I'm getting exactly 560, and these are minutes. 560 minutes. Can we divide this by 60? Yes. So 560 out of 60, you're getting 9 hours, 0.33, meaning that and a third. So a third an hour becomes 20 minutes. So 9 hours, 20 minutes. You see, 9 hours will give us 540. 9 hours gives us 540. That means we remain with now 20 minutes here. 9 hours, 40 minutes. That is the total time they will take to finish serving 182 clients. And they started working at 8 a.m. So the question is, at what time will they complete serving 182? So from 8 a.m., we are adding 9 hours, 20 minutes. This can be 17, 20 hours. Yeah, 17, 20 hours. That is the time they will finish working. Remember, this can also be stated as, you subtract 12 there, 5:20 in the PM. So when you write 5:20, you'll be very specific. Should be PM. When you write in hours, that is 24-hour clock system. It's already done. So that is how LCM is applied in this great question. It's my hope that you are getting something. If that is so, please type I am learning. Yeah, please type I am learning. So we are now adjusting to number 6. Number 6. Solve for the values of x and y in the equation 36x multiplied by 48 power y equals to 192. So what we're going to do here is to ensure that we first factorize the composite numbers to see whether there is a common factors here. So let us express 36 and also 48 and also 192 into, prime factors. So what do we get is 36? Let me use the space here. The question is very involving. So 36 divided by 2, we get 18. By 2, 9. So by 3, we get 3. So 36 equals to 2 power 2 multiplied by 3 power 2 again. And everything here is to power x. I want you to remember that. Let me actually change the font for x that way, so that I multiply by, we check 48 by 224, by 212, by 26, by 23. So this is 2 power 4 and 3 power 1. 2 power 4 and 3 power 1, and everything is power y. This is equal to, we also express 192 92. Also 192 should be factorized. So we're factorizing 192. Let us check the factorization of 192. It is an even number. So we start by dividing it by 2, get 96. By 2, we get 48. By 2, we get 24. By 2, we get 12. By 2, we get the 6. By 2, we get 3. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 power 6. 2 power 6. 3 power 1. That is it. That is it. So now at this point, we can apply the product law of indices, whereby every power is multiplied by x. So 2 power 2x, 3 power 2x, we have 2 power 4y, 3 power y equals to 2 power 2x and 3 power 1. So now from the left-hand side, because it's purely multiplication, we can now pick the common bases. If it's 2 power 2, okay, 2 power 2 and 2 power 4 y, it becomes 2, and the two powers are added, multiplied by 3, then 2x plus y, because this is 3 power 2x and 3 here is power y, and they have been multiplied, common bases. This is equal to 2 power, this is 6, sorry, 2 power 6 and 3 is power 1. You see that? Yeah, 3 is power 1. 3 is power 1. Therefore, at that point now, we can now say that the common factors can have their powers equated. So we can say from the left, the powers of 2 are 2x plus 4y equals to 6, get equation 1. Then the powers of 3 from either sides can also be equated. We get equation 2. So to solve the two simultaneously, from equation 2, y equals to 1 minus 2x. Yeah, y equals to 1 minus 2x. Then now we rewrite equation 1, 2x plus 4 into y. So y we substitute equals to 6. At this point now, we can start with the opening of brackets, the grouping of terms. 2x plus 4 negative 8x equals to 6. This is a negative 6x, and this is a z2. Yeah, 6 minus 4 is 2. So to remain with x, we divide through by the negative. Therefore, the value of x is negative a third. If that is negative a third, then why don't we get the value of y according to this? So the value of y shall be 1 minus 2 into negative a third. See, it becomes 1 plus 2 thirds now. This becomes positive, and it's a 2 thirds now. So 1 plus 2 thirds, it becomes 1 and 2 thirds, it becomes a 1 and 2 thirds. So the value of y is 1 and 2 over 3. That is after combining. Yeah, 1 then minus 2 into negative a third, it becomes negative 2 thirds, which now turns to a positive. So those are the values of x and y. The question is very good, but it requires one to be having a solid understanding when it comes to the laws of indices. Yeah, the laws of indices. So if you're getting something, please remember to type, I am learning. Just type, I am learning. Yeah, type, I am learning. Yeah, I am learning. Number 7, this is a question on these are word problems actually. Part of algebra, whereby you're supposed to understand the language first before you form any equation, before you proceed to solve any equation. So let us read the question together, ladies and gentlemen. Now, a 2-digit number is 3 more than 4 times the sum of its digits. If the digits are reversed, the new number formed exceeds the original number by 18. Find the number. So we can let us let the original number to be xy because it's a 2-digit number, meaning that its value shall be x is at the 10th position, y is at the 1st position. 10x plus y, that is the value of the number. So the 2-digit number is 3 more than 4 times the sum of the digits. 3 more than 4 times. So it is 3 more, meaning that this number is 3 more. So it's greater by 3. 3 plus 4 times the sum of digits. 4 times the sum of digits. That is the first interpretation that I'm picking from the value of this number is 3 more than 4 times. So the 3 should be added to the 4 times side because this part is now greater by 3. 10x plus y equals to 3 plus 4x plus 4y. Can we group the y's and the 4's together? So this is a 6x. This is negative 3y. This is equal to 3. Yeah. We bring 4 to the left-hand side. 10 minus 4, 6x. Now y minus 4. It becomes negative 3. Y equals to 3. So 2x minus y equals to 1. Equation 1 has been simplified. Now we have more statements. If the digits are reversed, so after reversing, the new number becomes a yx, and its value shall be 10, y is on the tens, x is on the ones. So this is the value of the new number, and we have value of the original number. Now we can say this, that if the new number formed exceeds the original number by 18, exceeds the original by 18. So this new number exceeds the original by 19, by 18. So we need to add 18 to the original so that it is now equal to the new number. Again, we can group terms. 9y minus 9x equals to 18. Y minus x equals to 2. That is after dividing through by 9. So we got 2 equations now. This is my equation 2. Yeah, I got 2 equations now. And the 2 can be solved simultaneously so that you may get the value of x, the value of y. So from equation 2, the value of y shall be 2 plus x. Yeah, the x becomes positive on the right-hand side. So equation 1 is now 2x minus y equals to 1. Yeah, minus y, that is what it means. So 2x minus 2 minus x equals to 1. This is x. And x becomes 3 because the negative 2 here becomes positive on the right. 2x minus x, we get x. The negative 2 becomes positive on the right-hand side. So it's x being 3. And the value of y can be picked now from this 2 plus x which is 5, meaning that original number is going to be 35xy. So original number is 35. The main thing that you're supposed to understand about these questions on two-digit number and such things is that the value of the number should be expressed in the right way. So if the number is x2, then its value should be 10x plus y, because the value of x is on the tens position. The value of y is in the ones position. So that is what you call the value of the number. That is why if a number is 48, this number is equal to 48 because 4 is on the tens position, while 8 is in the ones position. 4 by 10 becomes 40. 8 by 1 becomes 8. That is why we're getting 48. Therefore, each position is what defines a number or a digit. So number 7 is done and dusted. If you're getting something from number 7, please type I am learning from Shifting Grades Online School, the home of academics. And I hope you are aware of what is cooking for August holiday. We are bringing you the best that has ever been, an online platform for NEC examiners, whereby you people shall be taken through examination tips in mathematics, in the sciences, in the languages, and 2 humanities. Very soon I'll be sharing the timetable and the full schedule for August, and I'm sure you shall like it. So we're going to make it the best ever, the best ever. And actually, it shall be for candidates and pre-candidates, candidates and pre-candidates. So Form 3s and Form 4s of 2026, brace your belts and be ready for a very serious platform. Number 8, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the distance between town A and B is 400 kilometers. A bus traveling at an average speed of 70 kilometers per hour left town A for town B at 7:30. 42 minutes later, a car left town B for town A and met with the bus 180 kilometers from town B. Determine the average speed of the car. These are questions that we're supposed to critically analyze. You know, most of the times you will see people being given both speeds. Then now they are supposed to work maybe a distance or maybe time of meeting. But in this case, the time of meeting has been provided. Yeah, the time of meeting has been provided. So what are we finding? A known speed. So we're supposed to have, again, serious understanding. So now one thing that I want you to understand, is that by the time the car is leaving B, the bus has already narrowed some distance. You see, there is a total distance of 400 kilometers. But now in our case, we're supposed to know that in the 42 minutes, you know, we can make them hours. 42 over 60 times now 70. Times 70. So that you may get the distance now. So that you may get the distance. So that you may get the distance. So we are now addressing, let's look at this. We are now addressing 42 over 60 multiplied by 70. Knowing that there is 49, exactly 49 kilometers that have been covered. 49 kilometers that have been covered. Just look at that. 49 kilometers covered. So by the time the car is starting to move, the bus is at some point here. 49 kilometers outside A or from A. Meaning that this is where the bus is and the time is, we've added 42 minutes there anyway. So look at this now. the remaining distance here, the remaining distance is going to be, the relative distance actually is going to be, we pick 400 and we subtract the 49 that has already been covered by the bus. So this is 400 minus 49. I'm getting 351. 351 kilometers remains between the two vehicles. But now, when they will be meeting, just look at this. When they will be meeting, it will be 180 kilometers from B. So they shall meet at a point 180 from B. 180 kilometers from B. Meaning that by the time they are meeting, the car will have covered 180 kilometers. Just look at that. The car will have covered 180 kilometers. If it has covered 180, within the same time, the bus has also covered a distance here. So the 351 that had remained, the car is covering 180, meaning that the bus will cover the other part for them to meet. So the car is covering 171. So for them to meet 180 kilometers from B, for them to meet 180 from B, it means it's the car to cover 180 as the bus covered the 171 here, because already the bus has already covered 49. So it has to cover 171 the time the car is covering 180. So meaning that because the speed of the bus is known, then we can find the time the bus is taking to cover the further 171. We said this is 171. So time is usually given by distance over speed. The distance of 171, the distance of 171 over the speed of 70. We get the time in hours. Naturally, to avoid rounding off now, we can use it as a fraction without rounding off fast. So it means this is the time taken by the bus to cover the 171, meaning that within the same time now, within an equal time, because they are both moving, within the same time, the car has covered 180, meaning that speed for the car, speed of this car shall be given by, speed is generally given by distance over time. Yeah, 180 divided by 171 over 70. 171 over 70. So we are having 180. 180 is being divided by 171 over 70, which means we have to pick 180 and multiply it by 70 over 171. 180 times 70 over 180 over 171. This is now going to be 73 and 13 out of 19. 73 and 13 over 19 kilometers per hour. This is now the speed for the car. This is a very good question. Personally, I like the question. So if you understand how we're supposed to move in such a question with a lot of analytical skills, very keen into the details. You see how I have divided those distances so that I get now to the concept of time, then back to the concept of speed. You're supposed to be that critical. So if you're getting the point, please remember to type that I am learning. Number 9, ladies and gentlemen. In number 9, we've been told to find the inverse of the matrix in part A. Inverse of a matrix. For us to find the inverse of the matrix, we're supposed to find the determinant first. Yeah, we're supposed to find the determinant first. So finding the determinant means, let me show you how to get the date. product of the elements in the main diagonal. Main diagonal is having 4 and 5, minus product of the elements in the other diagonal. So this is a 3 at 3. So we are having 20 minus 9, which is 11. The determinant is 11. Then for us to get the inverse, we're supposed to change a few things here. One, the position of 4 and 5 should be interchanged. Then for the 3's, we change their signs. If they are positive, they now become negative. Then after changing the positions and also the nature of the elements on the other diagonal, we now divide each by 11. So this shall be 5 over 11, negative 3 over 11, negative 3 over 11. Then this is a 4 over 11. We divide each element by the determinant. Each element by the determinant. It's advisable you leave the answers like that because they are full values. When you start making them decimals, you start rounding off. And whenever you round off, you introduce error. So there is no need to round off. Look at part B. Hence, solve the simultaneous equations 4x plus 3y equals to 6, 3x plus 5y equals to 5 using the matrix method. So the first thing that we're supposed to do is to extract the matrix equation, which is now having 4, 3, 3, 5, then the variables matrix, then the constants matrix is 6, 5. Now we pre-multiply both sides of this matrix equation with the inverse of the coefficients matrix. And the coefficients matrix is what had been provided here. So the inverse has already been worked out. So we multiply by this inverse, both sides. 5 over 11, negative 3 over 11, negative 3 over 11, 4 out of 11. Then the other side, we do the same, 5 over 11, negative 3 over 11, negative 3 over 11, 4 over 11. Yeah, 4 over 11 like that. So at this point, there are a few rules that we are supposed to observe, a few principles, and that is a matrix multiplied by its own inverse supposed to give us the identity matrix. So the identity matrix is 1, 0, 0, 1. A matrix with 1 in the main diagonal and zeros elsewhere. A 2 by 2 matrix. So you don't have to perform the multiplication on the left-hand side because it's a matrix times its own inverse. A matrix times its own inverse. So you don't have to perform the multiplication. It will simply give us the identity matrix. Now we check the right-hand side whereby we're supposed to multiply matrices. So it's about row times column. So in the row times column, it should be 5 over 11 into 6, then negative 3 over 11 into 5. Yeah, 5 over 11 times 6, negative 3 over 11 times 5. So this is giving me exactly 1 and 4 over 11. 1 and 4 over 11. And on the other side, it should be the second row times the same column. So negative 3 over 11 into 6, then plus 4 over 11 into 5. So here I'm getting 2 over 11. So now at that point, agree with me that the matrix on the left-hand side, which is the identity matrix times any matrix, the matrix remains unchanged. So it remains xy equals to 1, and 4 over 11, then 2 over 11. So we can now make a conclusion that the value of x is 1 and 4 over 11. The value of y equals to 2 out of 11. So now we have the two values, one for x, the other one for y. So that's how we simply solve linear equations which are simultaneous using the matrix method. You can find time actually to get through our channel and see all the methods that are used to solve simultaneous equations: the matrix method, the graphical method, substitution method, elimination method. So please take your time and peruse through Shifting Grades Online School and see how into details we've tried to solve simultaneous equations using all the methods. So if you're getting something, please remember to type that I am learning. Now we check number 10, ladies and gentlemen. The interior angle of a polygon with 3 sides exceeds the interior angle of another regular polygon with y sides by 40. Determine the value of y. All right. One thing that we're supposed to understand here is that sum of interior angles is usually given by 180 into n minus 2. N is the number of sides. Then size of each interior angle, because we got the sum and the polygons are regular. It means all the sides are equal and also all the angles are equal. Then we can talk of 180 into n minus 2 out of the n. So when you divide by the number of sides or the number of angles, you get the size of each. So we can get the sum, then we divide by the number of angles, which is usually equal to the number of sides. So that will be not the size of each. So the first polygon will have an interior angle equal to, the sum is 180 into n, the number of sides, minus 2 out of the number of sides. That one will give us the size of each interior angle. Then the second one shall be 180 into with y sides. So y is the value of n out of the number. So we have the size of each, and now we're being told this one exceeds this one by 40. So the first one minus the second one, we should get 40. The size here minus the size on this other one, we're supposed to get 40. That is now the linear equation that we are going to solve. Yeah, that is the linear equation that we are going to solve. It's a very simple question, and what you just need to know is to understand. You just have to understand how to interpret these informations. So at this point, ladies and gentlemen, you can allow me now proceed to solve the equation. I know it can attract very many approaches. As long as it is at this point, it can attract very many approaches. For example, the 3 here can cancel to give us 60. Yeah. So that now we talk about LCM of y. The LCM is y. Y divided by y, we get 1. Y divided by y, we get 1. So 1 multiplies now the numerator which is now 180 y minus 120. Then minus y again divides y, we get 1 times the numerator. It's 180 y. Then because of the minus at this point, it will become positive 360 equals to y divided by 1. It remains y, so times 40. I hope we are together in that equation. Then we can now group terms together. You know, we are done with the LCM. So we can now group terms together. You can see 180 and 180. They'll cancel out. Yeah, 180 minus 180. That one cancels out. Then 120 negative and this one positive. It becomes 240. This is equal to 40y. How can you remain with the value of y? You divide through by 40. We get 6. So the value of y is exactly 6. That is the value of y. It's a very, very good question. So thank you for following up with that question. Remember to subscribe. Remember to share. Remember to invite a friend to this platform. If you got classmates somewhere, kindly invite them. Actually, remember to type "I'm learning." Remember to type your school on the comment section. Yeah, remember to type your school on the comment section. We are now at number 11. We are pulling through very quickly. We are pulling through. Now, a particle is projected from the origin. Its speed was recorded as shown in the table below. So you can look at speed there. Use trapezium rule with 8 ordinates to estimate the distance covered by the particle within the 35 seconds. So you can see the values of time there. You can see the speed here. Speed there. Yeah, so if the speed against time is plotted, we shall get the graph, which is irregular, of course. And now the area under the graph will give us what we call area under the graph will give us what we call the distance covered. That is from linear motion, from 2 work. Area under the graph, if you have plotted velocity or speed against time, such area gives us the total distance covered. Therefore, in this case now, we can say the area now will give us the distance covered. So the area under this graph, using trapezium rule, we first state the formula of h, then into 2 multiplied by, sorry, not 2. Actually, we start by adding the 2 values here. The first and the last values of y. Then we add 2 with all the other values of y in between up to the second last value. So now area shall be half multiplied by the intervals on the x-axis where time is plotted. The intervals is 5. Then into the first value on the y is 0. The last value, which is 2.6, then plus 2 multiplied by now the values of y in between the last and the first. So this is 2.1, 5.3, 5.1, 6.8, 6.7, 4.7. How many values are these? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good. So at this point now, we are having 2.5. Then this is 2.6 plus 2.1 plus 5.3 plus 5.1 plus 6.8 plus 6.7 plus 4.7. So I'm getting 30.7, then times 2, 61.4. So this now shall be 2.5 into, when we add 2.6, we're getting 64. So 64 now should be multiplied by 2.5 to give us exactly 106. 160 square units as the area. But now when it gets to distance, we will now have it as meters. So the distance covered is in meters. The area represents distance covered. So that is the area using the trapezium rule. Area using the trapezium rule. Number 12. We check number 12 together. If you're getting something on area approximation using the trapezoidal rule, please type I am learning. Then we check number 12 together. Now, the angle of elevation of the top of Mount Kenya from a point V on the horizontal ground is 22 degrees. Now, from a point P, 2,000 meters closer to the mountain and on the same horizontal ground, the angle of elevation is 40 degrees. Calculate the length of the shortest distance from P to the top of the mountain. This is application of trigonometric ratios together with angles of elevation and depression in what we call finding distances. So in this particular application, allow me give a sketch first. Attempting this question without a sketch may lead you to an answer, but a good sketch improves your interpretation, the question. It improves how you view the question. It makes you visualize the information properly. This is an angle of 22, meaning that this is point V. Then as you continue approaching the Mount Kenya, you arrive at P, then the angle here becomes 40, and we are told that P is now closer to the mountain, 200 meters closer. So you have moved for 200 meters closer to the mountain, 200 meters closer to the mountain. Therefore, now interpreting this information now will mean if we let from the mountain to P to be X, then we can have the total distance now to V, which is 2,000 plus X. Yeah, like that. So applying trigonometry, and this is a known height of the mountain, then we can say this, that the tangent of 22 degrees equals to the opposite length, which is 8, h out of the adjacent length, which is 2000x, meaning that from this we can get an expression for h, which is 2000 plus x, the tan of 22. This is equation 1. Here we have one equation in terms of x and h. Can we continue interpreting? Yes. We can also say that using 40, the tan of 40 degrees equals to opposite out of adjacent. So how can we remain with h? X tan 40, equation 2. So we have an expression for h and another expression for h, meaning that if the first expression or the first equation gives us h, the second one is also expressing the same h, then why can't we equate the two? So we can equate the two sides now and saying x tan 40 equals to 2000 plus x tan 22, like that. Then now we start grouping terms. So the values of x are tan 40 and tan 22. So tan 40 minus tan 22, we get exactly 0.43507 x. This is equal to, we're having 2000 tan 22. Yeah, 2000 tan 22. So 808.05. And to remain with x now, we're supposed to divide this by what we have on the other side. So I'll be getting exactly 1857.28 meters. Now that we have the value of x, ladies and gentlemen, let's get back to the question. Let us get back to the question. Calculate the length of the shortest distance from P to the top of the mountain. From any point to another, shortest distance is a straight line that connects the 2 points. So the shortest distance from point P to the top of the mountain is the hypotenuse at this point. The hypotenuse at that point. Yeah, that is what we need. Now that we have x and we have a 40 here, we can even apply cosine of 40 and we find that hypotenuse. Or we can find h and use h together with the angle of 40 and sine. Or we can still apply Pythagoras theorem with x and h. Pythagoras theorem can still work. So allow me now use the earliest opportunity possible, which is cosine of 40. Cosine of 40 can only be given by adjacent length out of a known hypotenuse. The distance there, we can call it distance D, shortest distance. So we cross multiply D cos 40 equals to this. So to remain with D, we need 1857.28 out of the cosine of 40. So this one divided by the cosine of 40 shall give us 24.505. 24.5048 meters. So that is now the shortest distance. Yeah, the shortest distance. It's a very good question. Very, very good question. So if you've understood how to interpret angles of elevation, angles of depression, together with some basic trigonometry, they are simple trigonometric ratios. If you understand that, you can type, I am learning. But remember, the last step that led us to the answer is not fixed to cosine. I've said you can use, we have a sine that also uses hypotenuse, and the h there can be computed. So after getting h, using either equation 2 or 1, you can use it together with x, again for Pythagoras theorem. So Pythagoras theorem can still help us. Yeah, can still help us to navigate. So that's a very good question. Remember to subscribe. Remember to share so that you may invite a friend to these powerful lessons. Number 13, ladies and gentlemen. Find the equation of the normal to the curve y equals to x squared minus 3x minus 4 at the point x equals to 3. Now, one thing that you're supposed to know is that the point can be found as a coordinate. So y equals to this, and we are given the value of x. So the corresponding value of y, which is equal now to 3 squared minus 3 into 3 minus 4. So that's how we're supposed to work out. 3 squared minus 3 into 3 minus 4. I'm getting exactly negative 4. Yeah, negative 4. So the coordinate, hmm, the point now can be written clearly. It's 3, negative 4. You're finding the normal at that point. So we have the point as a coordinate. Now, let's now get now to the concept itself. Now that we have equation of the curve, we can find the gradient function of the curve. Gradient function is the derivative of the curve equation. So power 2, the 2 is dropped there. Then this is power 1. So negative 3 times 1 just becomes negative 3. Then x was power 1. Now it becomes power 0. And anything power 0 will disappear. So constants disappear after differentiation. So this is the gradient function. So now we can say this, gradient of the curve. Gradient at x equals to 3. Gradient at this point. What will be the gradient? Shall be 2x minus 3, which is exactly 3 because that is 6 minus 3. Now we ask ourselves, if this is the gradient of the curve at this point, what will be the gradient of the normal? Normal is usually perpendicular to a curve at a point. Perpendicular to the curve at this point. So if the normal is a line that is perpendicular to the curve at a point where the gradient is this, then we can also find the gradient of the normal at the same point by saying this, that for perpendicular lines, gradient 1 times gradient 2 should give us negative 1. That is how gradients are related when it comes to perpendicular lines. Now, allow me proceed to say that there is a gradient of 3, a known gradient, and we need them to be multiplied to give us a negative 1. So to remain with gradient 2, ladies and gentlemen, we need to talk about negative a third. So the second gradient is negative a third, and the point is here. So we can now express the equation. This is a wonderful question. We need now to express the equation. So negative a third equals to change in y. Y minus a negative 4. Out of change in x, x minus 3. I hope we are together in y minus a negative, making it a positive. Our cross multiplication shall give us 3 into y plus 4, then negative 1 into x minus 3. 3y, 12, negative x, positive 3. When I open the bracket there, it becomes a positive here. Remain with 3y. Negative x is already here. Then we have 3 minus 12, which is negative 9. To remain with y alone, it's negative a third x minus 3. So that is the equation. That is the equation of the normal to the curve at the stated point. If you got it, please type I am learning. Yeah, please type I am learning. It's a very good question on equation of normals to the curve at some point that are given. It's number 14. We thought that the length of the major and minor arcs of a circle are 154 centimeters and 110 centimeters respectively. Taking pi as 22/7, find the angle subtended at the center of the minor arc. So allow me interpret this question first. You see we are having a circle here, center, such that if this is a minor arc from A to B, then the angle is let to be alpha. On the outer, the other side, the angle shall be 360 minus alpha because they are meeting at a point and the total there should be 360. So now radius is also not known. Radius is not known. So can we say this? For the major arc, it will be 154. And arc length is given by beta, which is 360 minus alpha over 360 multiplied by 2 times 22 over 7 times radius, which is also unknown. That is equation 1. This is equation 1. Equation 2, 110 equals to the angle at the center over 360 times 2 times pi times radius. Okay, so we said this is equation 1. We said this is equation 2. Can we simplify equation 2? You see, we are having a 22 by 2 over 7 by 360. So here we are getting a 11 over 630. So this is 11 out of 630. Alpha r equals to 110, like that. Meaning that we can still simplify further. Can we express the value of r? Yeah, the value of r. R equals to, for us to remain with r, we're supposed to divide through by, actually we multiplying through by, we take 110, we multiply by 630 over 11. So this becomes 3600 over alpha. 3600 over alpha. Yeah, to remain with r alone that way. So now that from equation 2, we are having r, then this r can be substituted in equation 1. So equation 1 can now be re-expressed. Equation 1 can be re-expressed such that equation 1 will become what? You know, it's already 154 equals to 360 minus alpha. 360 minus alpha. Actually, let me have that point like that. 360 minus alpha. Then first I pick 2 by 22 divided by 7 times 360. I'm having 11 630. 11 over 630 times r. So instead of r, now we introduce our 3600 over alpha. Yeah, instead of r in equation 1, we substitute with this. So at this point now we can simplify a few things. Times 3600. This is 154 being equal to 360 minus alpha. Then this is being multiplied by what? Let me multiply 11 by 3600. So this is a 39,600 out of 630 alpha. Out of 630 alpha. So now we can open brackets, right? No, alpha is at the denominator, sorry. Alpha is at this point. So with this, we can now open the bracket here. 360 times 39,600. And of course, over 630. Over 630. So 360, let me multiply it when 360 by 39,600 over 630. So we're getting, at that point, remember we're already having 154 here. At this point, we are having 22,628 and 4 over 7. Alpha, actually over alpha, then minus. Now alpha cancels at this point. We open bracket again. Alpha times this. So it is the alpha to cancel. And we'll have 39,600 out of 630. That way. So the whole of this part can be taken now to the right and added. 154 plus 39,600 over 630. So this is going to be 216, 6 over 7, being equal to 22,628, 4 over 7 over alpha, like that. So we can now cross multiply by the alpha, so that you have 216, 6 over 7 alpha being equal to 22,628, 4 over 7. So how can we remain with alpha? Division. To divide, it means 22,628. Let me write it well, actually, in brackets, 22,628 and 4 over 7. Then I divide by the answer. Yes, so I divide by the answer. And the value of the angle at the center shall exactly be 104.35 degrees. 104.35 degrees. So that is the value. That is the value of alpha, and alpha is the angle at the center of the minor. The angle at the center of the minor arc. The angle subtended at the center by the minor arc. So that is the question in number 15. Now we check number 15. 5 weeks after reforestation project began, the heights of young saplings were recorded to the nearest centimeter. The frequency distribution of the heights is shown in the table below. So look at the table. We have the heights x in centimeters. You can see the classes there. Frequencies also there. Then cumulative frequencies. Complete the table by entering cumulative frequencies values. So we start with the first frequency 5. We add the next 17. We add 25, 42. We add 10, 52. Then we add 8, 60. So the total frequencies are 60. We have the values fed there. Estimate the median. Before we estimate the median, we're supposed to identify the median class. So 60 over 2 gives us 30. Now the class that contains the 30th sapling, that is the class we need. So you can see these are just 5 according to the cumulative frequencies. These are just 17. But now these are 42, meaning that the 30th is in this class. So this is our median class now. This is our median class. So now median is given by lower class boundary plus total frequency over 2 minus cumulative frequency just before, divided by frequency times the class length. Therefore, at this point now, you can say that the lower class boundary shall be, we pick the current upper limit plus the current lower plus the previous upper, and we divide by 2. So 20 plus 20 over 2. So the boundary is just 20 plus 60 over 2 minus cumulative frequency just before this class. Just before this class. I hope you see that. Yeah, just before this class. Just before this class. It's going to be 17. Then over frequency of the class. Frequency of the class is 25. Then multiplied by the class length. So the class length shall be From 30 to 20, it's just 10. Yeah, class interval is 10. So now at this point, we shall talk of 20 plus. This is 30 minus 17. We get 13. 13 times 10 over 25. We get 5.2. When we add 20 to this, we'll be getting 25.2. Yeah, 25.2. So that is now the median for this particular data. The median for that particular data. It's a very good question. So we call this one continuous data. The other one is called discrete. Continuous, whereby the upper class, the upper limit becomes the lower in the subsequent classes, 20, 20. So you just have to understand that boundaries are given by, if it's the lower, you add the previous year, then you divide by 2. So it's 20. But generally, with continuous data, the limits are also the boundaries, not like in the discrete, whereby you find a class maybe ending with 9, and the other one starts with 10. So that you have to pick 10 plus 9 and you divide by 2. You get 9.5. So in this case, the limits are also the boundaries. Yeah, the limits are also the boundaries. The limits are also the boundaries. Number 16, ladies and gentlemen, we told that a point R divides, it divides line AB internally in the ratio 2:3. Using a ruler and a pair of compasses only, locate the position of R and measure R to B. So this is a question on proportional divisions of lines, whereby you are supposed to know that if R is dividing AB intentionally or internally, into 2:3, then from A to R, it's 2 proportions, and R to B, it's 3 proportions. So total, we have 5 proportions. So to divide AB into 5 equal proportions, you first supposed to measure an angle, just a reasonable angle here. Not even to measure, but just to produce it. Produce a line like that. Then now you mark equal 5 portions. Equal 5 portions. You can have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so we have 5 portions here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They don't actually have to be measured. They don't have to be measured. You just need to be having 5 equal proportions. Then now you join them to be, join the last one to be, Then from that point, to joining the last one to be, now you join the others to the same line AB, but you ensure that they are parallel to the first one. Parallel to the first one. So you drop this one, parallel to the first one. Parallel to the first one. So you ensure that they are all parallel. And by doing that, we shall then discover that the line AB has been proportionally divided into 5 equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 equal parts. So if those are 5 equal parts and R is dividing it now internally in 2:3, so it's 2 proportions are there, so that we have 3 proportions on the other side. Then now we're supposed to measure from R to B. So you use your ruler to measure from R to B, from this point to the other side. And when I use my calculator, my ruler, very well, and I discover that this distance is exactly 7.2. That is what we call proportional division of a line. RB goes to 7.2 centimeters. So that is how you do the proportional division of the line. Remember, we'll be meeting again to check the part B of this paper. Thank you. See you next time.